Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper of Viperland, and I'm back here with Great Ace Attorney. We were in the middle of a case, but it was a logical ending point, and we got new witnesses. So yeah, that's where we left off. Just a forewarning, my throat's been hurting a bit today, so we'll see how long this goes. I want to make progress. I want to play this game good, and I feel like I always have some excuse for Sunday of like, I didn't want the excuse to stop me today. Also, I checked the Plex server and it was down, so I couldn't watch any more series of unfortunate events. So, you know, but mostly the former. I can, hold on. Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Those sure are some witness looks. Ah, yes, choke the man. Constable Roly Beat. Sir, nothing to report on the street, sir. Roly Beat. Well, nah, he's a narcoleptic. Or he works too hard. I'm Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name. Patricia Beat, Roly Beat. I'm sure there's a pun there I'm not getting. I'm proud to say that I'm this young town hero's wife. And that you routinely have to choke him to wake him up. What's the story here? Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we celebrated our first anniversary only the other day. No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honorable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world. Also, I swear, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. Good luck on your fishing. I hope you catch something not trash. No, really. I've heard that before, actually. Indeed. Ah, well. So much for that. Apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know. They patrol boarding houses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check the meters, are reading true, and they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our streetlights. There are a number of items on that list that don't sound much like policing duties at all. I wouldn't just be falling asleep on my feet, I'd have collapsed long ago. But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. Even when he is off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. So, no sleep. Okay. But the London Bobby is a man of honor. Ah, so you're hyping this guy up as he wouldn't possibly lie. Gotcha. And a man of slumber. The day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction. They witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat? That's right, sir. Isn't it, Roly? Constable Roly Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir. Great witness he's going to be. I'm going to have to turn on the AC. I thought my little fan was going to do it tonight, but it's still toasty. Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You'll tell the court exactly what you saw in the afternoon of the incident. It's supposed to be extra hot tomorrow, but then we're supposed to get a little bit of a break. Like, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's supposed to be actually, like, a lot better. Yes, sir! Well, this is good. Okay. We're gonna do this. I just need to turn on the AC real quick. I thought I'd made it 4 minutes. Nope. And I can turn off. Bam. Need that. Sorry, family's trying to make breakfast plans tomorrow, which I don't really want to do. I don't want to wake up early for work to go out for breakfast, but most of my family will be leaving in under a month, so can't say no. What the witnesses saw. It was our wedding anniversary. Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man on the dock. Rolly and I both saw him as clear as day. Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say. Is it? You saw the victim fall down. You saw somebody scatter something and leave. I don't know if that's also only one of you actually said anything, but whatever. Oh dear, this policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsumi at the scene. Their testimony is true. The alternative course of events that you established in the summation examination will be quashed. It's the death knell, in fact. That alternative was never viable in the first place. What an unfortunate be chancing, and on your wedding anniversary, too. Oh, I know. I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London bobby sounds very hard indeed. Indeed. However, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon. What do you mean by that? My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They're testifying under oath that it was without a doubt the accused, not the accursed. Well, he's a little down in his luck. Bad things happen to him. Mr. Soseki Natsumi. One of these witnesses is a policeman, no less. You appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure. That witness did not say anything. The police witness has not actually testified that he saw this. So if you're trying to use him being a cop to justify they couldn't possibly be lying, at least have him say it. I mean, he could still definitely be lying, but like, you carry a little more weight if he actually said it. Except that the man's so tired his wife has to do all the talking. Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. Cross-examination.
Hold it!
No time to change after work, you said. Are you also a member of the police, Miss B? Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply. Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? I think Rolly looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down to the ground, doesn't it, darling? What? I just finished my beat, and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there. Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy. Oh no, Rolly, I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes. Dear, that doesn't seem healthy. I gotta save this screenshot. And whenever somebody posts something excessively thirsty on the Discord, it's that one. It's that immediately. Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct? That's right, sir. Yes. Although I was fit to drop, to be honest, after spending the whole day on my feet. Policing is my life, sir. As long as I'm on the proud owner of this, I'll serve my city and my queen to the end. What's that now? My warrant card, sir. Proof that I'm a London copper. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it. As a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Do you need to chew on your hat strap? Also, that hat has seen better days. So is the uniform. Is he actually an on-duty officer? Because that is... Oh boy. That is a patchwork outfit. So I'm sure it's fine. I didn't call you out by name, Sor. I mean, I was thinking it, but I didn't call you out by name. So, and for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know the plodding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. So, fighting crime doesn't appear to come into it, then. No, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Miss Beat puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh my. Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold. If a little over the top, perhaps. Then, kindly describe what happened next. Straight back to sleep.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes? That's right, they were coming towards us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. It does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print, and like Mr. Natsume. Yes, unfortunately it does. You're certain that at that time there was nobody else nearby. Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark, but there are streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There's nobody else around at all. Isn't that right, my darling? What? Ah, yes, that's right. Of course. There was a light fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight, and you can see a fairly long way down the pavement. Then there's the streetlights lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrian. What sleep takes a firm hold? Your answer, please, Mr. Beat. Are you quite sure of what you've just said? Yes, sir. As a copper who spends all day, every day, keeping watch on the streets, I'd swear to it, sir. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. Oh, my. Still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. Starting to seem like that must be how it really happened. It's starting to seem like there's nowhere to run. Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly. Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the crucial moments that followed. So I did kind of forget what we had as evidence, but I'm pretty sure nothing so far has come out. Proceed.
Hold it!
So far nothing's really stood out. Scattered something. What do you mean by that? Well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time. But then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we, darling? Are these scarves connected, or do they just happen to have two identical, very long scarves? Huh? What? Ah, yes, that's right. Some old books. Let's see. Old books. Yes, sir. The culprit had dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed. It's clearly pictured in this photographic print. That rotten Japanese man did that when he did the deed.
Hold it!
Let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker. We saw him. It was the man in the dock, without question. Stop. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, the snub nose, everything. Any more insults you want to throw in? That's right, he looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrifying, intense eyes, and then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away. I see. What's his top? It seems as though they're telling the truth here. May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Please continue. Yes, sir. Don't think the map matters right now. Your books, Mr. Natsume. That one. Reporting officer, Rolly beat, yep. Remains unconscious. Single stab wound, large knife, no signs of injury observed. Sound seen running away by reporting officers. So that's, yep, that's what we knew. Oh yeah, hip is missing. That'll probably be important later. Can't read what the books are from here. No, not even magnified. Okie dokie. That fog is nutty though. Unless that's supposed to be snow. I think it's supposed to be fog. Don't know.
Hold it!
So far, I got nothing. Was it your husband who went to fetch help? No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of one after all. Keep that right, my darling. Huh? What? Ah, yes, that's right. I asked Miss Beat to go. I was off duty by that point. But Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obliged to stay and guard the scene. Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance. That's why I sent Patricia, you see. Told her where to find the right police box. Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box? Depends on the crime's location, you see, as to who deals with it. But the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat the incident fell under, so she could go and report to you. I ran there as quickly as I could and asked for help from the Bobby and Tootie. There's nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know. Thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two model citizens. Oh, please, you're making us blush. Isn't he, darling? I think darling has a permanent blush. Sir, what Patricia said, sir. Let's move on, shall we? It's still so far nothing.
Hold it!
Did you see him clear? But surely you wouldn't have been able to. Ah, dang, I have to take this. Surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you? We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know. Well, he's just gonna get choked. Right. The light from the street lamps is more than enough. My husband already told you that the fog was only light, didn't he? Ah, yes. And what of the fog? Famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course. Oh, it is. It is. When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm. Alright, take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about? The constant fog makes your eyes very sharp, you see. I'm pretty sure it's got the opposite effect. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we, darling? Huh? What? Ah, yes. It's the accused, and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the taut mouth, snub, no. Unmistakable, sir. As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Soseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. That's it, is it? That's their entire testimony? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm hearing the testimony. It really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they say they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene of Briar Road that day. Yes, I feel the same. So if that's true, where does it leave us? Members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony. Oh no! Then what do we do? Suffer? If Kazuma-sama were here, what are you trying to say? I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony. What do you mean, somewhere else? The statement about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them. It makes the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate. Oh, right. Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early and unfavorable conclusion. Oh, we seem to be so up against it. Okay. Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask you something? Oh, yes, of course. What is it? Well, you keep asking us all these questions about everything we've told you, so... It seems like you don't believe our testimony. It's a great animation. Is that right? Is it? Well, out with it. What? No. Oh, no, it's really not that at all. My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. For every last detail. Everything. Like... I know. What about the books the man dropped? I can tell you the names of every single one I could. Oh, see that? Suddenly we're talking. What were the names of the books? Every single one. And you dare to question how reliable my testimony is. So, no, if you could... That will do. No, it won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of. Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a minute that Rolly will. I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please put your husband's fist down. Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Miss Beat. Wow, it's kind of nice when they volunteer the info that helps us, instead of, us having to squeeze it out of them. Might that appease you? One last jab. Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely. Wouldn't it, darling? Yeah, sure. What were the books? I'd even tell you the names of the 4 books he dropped at the scene. Yeah, cool. What were the books? Yes, we know that there were books dropped at the scene of the crime, as you say. Those purchased by the accused at the nearby second-hand bookshop on the day in question. After I'd been to the police box for help, I decided to have a good look over that area for good measure. I'm a proud policeman's wife, after all. I did it for Rolly. And what was your husband doing at the time? He was lying face down in the snow, getting some well-deserved rest. He works ever so hard, ever so hard. Don't you, my darling? Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime. Well, Miss Beat, seeing as you've regaled the court with tales of your powers of recollection, would you be so kind as to recount the titles of the books you observed at the scene? I'd be happy to. Now, you all listening. There was the picture of Monsieur somebody or other, and What's It Earnings. Then there was, a meal for someone, and the last one was definitely the thingamies something. You see? Wow. I mean, I can't comment on the memory of someone else. Wow. I also wouldn't brag about my memory and then get stuff actively 1/3 right. Yes, see, there are 1 or 2 holes in your memory. Oh well, they were along those lines, I'm quite sure. There were indeed books found at the scene with titles along those lines, as you put it. But what did I tell you? I think it's very mean the way you've been implying that my testimony can't be trusted. Don't you agree, darling? Anyone who upsets my prediction will have me to answer to. He just pulls his gun out right here. I hope he doesn't start having like some nightmares or something. He might be in trouble. Terrifying. Yes, she really is. That's it, is it? That's her entire testimony. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm hearing the testimony. Let's see the saw. do. Try to get him with something else. Okay. So, presumably, the books he got. Not ideal. Except one of them wasn't his? I mean, it still does place him there. But he had 3 books. 4 were found? So only see 3 here. Well, let's do the good old-fashioned save it. I think our best bet is the books, because it's really all we got. Nothing else we have in any way does anything else, so it's gotta be that.
Objection!
It's gotta be. So, you're saying that there were 4 books. Right, I remember all of them. Picture of Monsieur Somebody, What's It Yearnings, A Meal for Someone, and the Thingamy's Something. Sorry, Miss Beat. There is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours. Oh no, what flaw? Simply that at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4. This is the receipt from the bookshop where the defendant brought his books. Your books? Yes, and the details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed. Only 3? But no, that can't be. I remember seeing them. 4 books, I tell you. 4 dirty old books. Why are they dirty? Oh, really? Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. As you can clearly see from this evidence as well, there are only 3 books. But I just don't believe it. I saw them there, I swear it, I saw them. No, madam, I'm afraid your powers of observation cannot be relied upon. It cannot be denied that though you say it was the defendant you saw, could very well be mistaken. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. No! Well, they are wearing 2 halves of the same scarf. They absolutely are. the one jab. It's plainly evident. It is your powers of deduction that cannot be relied upon, my learned Nibonese friend. What? What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving. Through striving to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair? You threw me. But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you. What are you talking about? It's simple. Let me explain with a toast. The policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony in every respect. See, the matter is not up for debate. Seen on Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books. Wait. Only 3 can be seen in that print. That print? You mean to say? Allow me to present another. One that shows the victim's hand. Well, the lion's pride. I don't believe it. It's the 4th book. As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso. No! Well, seemingly yes, unfortunately. Order! You see, look at that. Look. Yes. It's just like I said, isn't it, darling? Yes, sir. Patricia's always right, sir. Let's study the receipt of the books purchased by the accused in the day in question. Miss Beat, the titles once again, if you please. Oh yes, of course. A picture of Monsieur somebody or other. Picture of Monsieur Lecoq. What's it, yearnings? Canterbury yearnings. A meal for someone. A meal for Gabrielle, in fact. What is just heard, the witness remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Miss Beat's powers of recollection can only be described as exceptional. Really? Let's see. Oh. Did you hear that, Rolly? The gentleman paid me a compliment. It's flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless. But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Miss Beat mentioned 4. There's nothing surprising about that. Really, the 4th book is that which is shown in the photographic print. Sorry, Counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt? It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim. The victim was holding her own book. I wonder, what became of that 4th book? Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. But here is evidence. Oh, of course. He has now decided. You'll submit that the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, Counsel. My pleasure, my lord. The second crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record. The second photograph of the scene taken by a policeman just after the incident specifically shows the victim's hand. Book entitled The Lion's Pride discovered in the victim's hand at the scene. The prosecution rests. Well, now we're going to take a look at those. I mean, it does seem like there's something weird about that corner, so we're going to check it in 3D too. Otherwise, yeah, it does seem to show the book. That's normal. Oh, look at this. The book has been badly burnt. You're right. You'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the later pages. What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched edges of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently. Book. Recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? Alright, back is badly burnt. Can't imagine there's more. You can comment on the title. Let me see. It's a book entitled The Lion's Pride. I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all, so it wouldn't be something I've heard. Wait a minute. The Lion's Pride? That's strange. I think I have heard of a book by that name before. Very recently, too. It's a title I recognize too, Mr. Naruhodo. I have nothing further to add. What? You seem surprised, my learned friend, but your resistance until now has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. Spurious the longer route to the accused through lodgings that you tried to establish in your summation examination, and the attempt discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination. Futile? Well, I tried to this, didn't I? You see, everything we said is true. Isn't that right, my darling? Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat. So, perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions? Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is the decision you have to make all too apparent already? You have heard all of the witnesses and seen all of the evidence. This trial has run its course. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we're in a terribly precarious position. I mean, Nobody actually saw him stab her. If he had a handful of books, how would he have done it anyway? All people saw was he was there, walking that street. She fell down, he ran away. It doesn't look good, sure, but I don't know. There's definitely critical moments missing. I know, but if I'm backing the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Green Husker, think. What do you do now? I mean, we have... If we wait and see, it's over. Wait. I don't know if there's anything we can raise an objection to right now, though. I'm gonna gamble on the wait and see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Just keep quiet now. See what happens. Well, it appears the defense has no objection at this juncture. In which case, crap. Mr. Naruto, was I not clear? The case for the defense is in great danger. Yes, I realize that, which is why I decided to let the sweat drip from my trembling brow in silence. You're so right. Sorry, if I don't say anything now, it'll all be over. Alright, well, it won't end well for us. Can't let that happen. Wait, the defense...
Objection!
The defense will have to wait. Because that sapless hesitation cannot go unpunished. Really? Alright. I picked wrong, it's fair. Isn't your derisive finger-pointing punishment enough? No, my learned friend, it's over. The last cross-examination was your final chance to establish a credible defense, and you failed. The die has been cast. Has it? What's it? 15. Okay, well. I don't know if that's good or bad, but now the die has been cast. There's no more room for defeat. Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... can't think of what to say. I may, Lord Van Seeks. Seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point. The insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed. Jeez, dude! For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. Oh. Nah, stand up to him. I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you'll have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential and her opinions invaluable. Mr. Naruhodo! One of this land's great guiding principles is tolerance. So, the court will hear you, madam. Good, alright. It's a shame it had to be phrased in that way, but hey, we got that at least. Go ahead, Mr. Sutter, please. Very well. Hey, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further? Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished. I see. And do you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think? It's possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in a moment. And of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the crucial piece of evidence is and why, so we must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible. Okay, I'm pretty sure they're prompting me to look for the burn. Let me just see if there's anything I don't think I can check anything here. Like, the magnifying glass is there, but I can't, like, examine anything with it. So it's gotta be the burn on the book. Unless there's something else I'm missing. It's gotta be the burn. Okay, cool. Yes, I understand, and thank you, Miss Susato. This is it. Susato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. Can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case and has hitherto been overlooked. It's gotta be the burnt book, because it has to be one of the new pieces of evidence, and that one doesn't help anything. So it's gotta be...
Take that!
The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book, found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
We've already discussed the fourth book at length. At length? Dude! I mean, we've discussed the book in passing, in the fact of, oh, here's the name, whatever. That was not an at-length discussion, dude. Chill. Also, I need some tea. Just let the tension build a little bit. Okay. Other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it. Can we attach significance? Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you well know. Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution in this matter. When I afforded you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscovered clue. I mean, I guess if nobody's looked at the book, then you might believe that. So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear? Oh, yes, my lord. It's, Naruhodo. I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence, which means we may very well be on the right track. Yes, I think you might be right. So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case which this fourth book conceals? It's there.
Got it!
I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question. The back? What do you... Good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp. So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It is undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing.
Objection!
Natural, you say. And what of it, my Nigonese friend? Nothing. I to concede the point. If it bears no relation to the case, there is nothing to discuss. So should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day, do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide? Charred book. There's just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. An outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory. Don't keep us waiting any longer then, counsel. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you can ascertain from the fire damage this sorry tome has suffered? Definitely its owner. My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals startling truth. About the book's owner. Beg your pardon? But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hand as she fell to the floor after all. It's obviously hers. The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand is yet to be answered. However, as to the question of who the book really belongs to and where it originated, the defense has very credible answers. Good gracious, how can you possibly... Very well, play along this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry. Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book? It's Susato! There were a lot of people in this case. But yeah, no, it's him. I mean, technically, I guess it could be her book, too. But, like, no, it's him.
Take that!
The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who owned the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Gerardib, the landlords. Whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but of all the people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garrett herself. Oh my goodness, me. I think I must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Garrett's wife, I'm his maid. Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garrett's house? I would never presume to know all the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused landlady thing. You implicate this hard-working member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence. Unforgivable. This is no mere conjuncture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly at the same time as the victim was stabbed in the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house. Good lord! What sort of incident, counsel? A fire, my lord. The Lion's Pride. By Jove, the very same title that's the subject of this debate. Oh, dear me.
Objection!
This is risible. All you've told the court is that a book by the same name was involved in a fire, in which case it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically moved itself to the scene of the crime. Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garrett was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garrett even amid the flames. Oh, how awful! Can't even imagine being so horrid to the one you love. And you, Rolly? Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir. The man had his back up against the window. He had burning books thrown at him. Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
No. A thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident. There was no report of the Garrett's window pane being broken. It's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garrett household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and Not even remotely. Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it. No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter. So defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, Consul. Do you earnestly claim that the book found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Gerb's wife? Believe it is a possibility, my lord. That's quite enough. Well, I hope that everybody can see for what you are now, you little foreign trickster. You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward, a mean coward. Really? Claiming that a little tip set the whole neighborhood alight, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake, how could you? Nothing to do with this beastly case, not any of it. All you've done is sully our family's name. No, I assure you, that was never my intention. Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud simply to divert attention from your failing defense. I should box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable. Do right. Here we go. How long have we sat here now, listening to this Nipponese spouting out his fancy foreign theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the mustache, and he ran away from the scene too. I do declare you're right. It's true. Yes, what did I tell you? Makes sense to me. Sorry, what's that? Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Seeks? Who keeps giving this man glasses, or goblets even? In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then, one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage. No, wait! The mystery of the fourth book still hasn't been... Every time. If books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them in your own time. The boot. What? No forgive the discourtesy this time? In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now state your individual decisions regarding the defendant's culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty. Guilty.
Well,
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
well. That's not ideal. Thank you. That unambiguous response. It's twice now. It's over. Mr. Naruhodo, don't give up. Mrs. Hada? You've forgotten? Battle isn't over yet. You're not suggesting... Of course! The defense has the right to another summation examination at this point. Cool, glad we are. You could still convince the jurors to change their mind. You have one more chance. That'll be a tough one. My lord, the defense asked to exercise its right to a summation examination. You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve. Don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. There's no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. To be continued. Ah, okay. Yeah, definitely wouldn't have made it last time. That was like an hour. Guess I'd like to save. In a new file. Consider the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury. I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman. We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. Alright. The jurors... The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. That was... Oh, sorry, I forgot I was doing... If there was some normal alternative explanation of how the victim was stabbed, I might be considered. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Just want to get this over with. If we don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tidy bit of trouble.
Let me think of it. We had a fire at home a while ago. Gave me the sneezes.
Well, some of those sound useful, some do not. Yes, considerably more tangled arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. With one notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness's testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seemed to be fleeing from the scene, and moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means, I'm afraid, that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. How? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those 2 details are all you need provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. And I was thinking this might be hard. Mr. Naruto, you have to do it, otherwise this really will be where the trial ends. No pressure, then. Quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. Presume you are prepared, counsel. Yes, my lord. Alright, Ryunosuke, focus your mind now. Double slap. Clearly, the key to the summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. What could I say? Miss Garrett. I have a book that disappeared from Garrett's house on the evening of the incident. And the 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the 2. Excuse me. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes. Don't forget to keep an eye on Miss Garrett and how she reacts, even to the things other people say. Alright.
Hold it!
But as we now know, there were 4 books, not 3. Well, what difference does it make? There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord. Yes, that's the part I have a problem with. Sorry? Well, the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Doing a fiery scrap with his wife or something, he said. Not exactly how I put it, no. Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened. Huh. I think that's what you call a strong alibi. Couldn't have been the landlord who did it. It only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, can't see what all this Oliver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it? Suppose it is, except nothing witty left to say.
Hold it!
So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my, feel such delight in your face. You're afraid to shut you swayed by emotion. But when you think of it, I'm a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. That's great. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten about tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? It's modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, when you say. Not at all extreme. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. Despite one or two minor compliments, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Overwhelmingly. Most modern parents are always delighted to embrace new fads, you said. So I can only be happy to consider accepting a new theory if you come up with one. Happy to do that too. If only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right. But you admitted rational there.
Hold it!
But what about the possibility that the window is open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. Can you be so sure? The prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Paintings in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold interiors. So no, the window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire, staying warm, see? But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. Then what's even the point of having windows, huh? Also, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. So I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. This young man isn't going to budge otherwise.
Hold it!
But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know. Really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb. I think Nice would disagree. He brought it upon himself, playing with fire to betray a fiery lover. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Oh, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Scared. Never you mind that. The point is we were just having a little jovial little dispute, nothing more. This poor guy's shoulder. I don't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Right. Well, we'll see about that. But what about juror number 5? Doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Miss Garrett's relentless onslaughts. Almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is.
Hold it!
Yeah, he just wants to out. Just want to get this over with. How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Him and me both then, like I said before. I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. What? You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. A shining example of marital bliss then. Situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, do you know, it's funny. I can't quite remember. Sorry? I was too frightening. It was too frightening. That's the thing. I must have blocked it out. Helpful. I wonder if Miss Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Miss Susato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Sorry, what was that? You'll have to speak up, lad.
Can you tell us more about that fire?
It was last winter. The grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. With 75 candles on top, it did. What a sight to behold it was.
You put candles on a cake? Is that some kind of devil worship?
It's not. It's an angel cake to celebrate my birthday, obviously.
Seems it's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo.
Anyway, I must have all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room. Furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke.
Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. But how did you catch a cold from a fire?
Yes, what was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. Then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, they had to open all the windows to clear it out.
Window.
Raining winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. Terrible cold from it. Put me in the hospital for a while. Don't forget that birthday in a hurry.
I knew it was devil worship all along. Something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. Who knows why? You need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street. Well, as how he or she could have done it. Yes, but once again, the jurors' stalemates are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary. You're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yes, I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection might do the trick. Alright, see what I can do. If anything stands out, go in for a strike. That's the spirit. New books. Gotta be those two.
Objection!
Gotta be. These two juror statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel? Don't point it at me again. I told you, it wasn't me.
What's that you say? Speak up, lad. Speak up.
Juror number 3. Do you see? Oh, me. See what, sir? Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebration last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Oh. Exactly. The day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garib household, and Mr. Garib had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke.
Oh my!
Oh my... Oh, my hat. Chain drinking tea. You okay over there? Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garib! Oh, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. Well, what is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon. What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it is inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. Now what if we did? All right, then, yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window. It can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering, even though your house was on fire. Excuse me. Well, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise. Ooh, boy. Of course. I should have realized. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. You simply must have that added to Miss Garib's formal statement. I mentioned it, yes, the window was open at the time. I'd clean forgotten, but it's true.
Hold it!
Okay. Fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. The title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garib told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as you well know. I definitely don't well know. I really don't. I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it. What is that pose?
Excuse me!
What is it? Juror number 5. He just had a war flashback. You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I'd blocked out. Ah. He was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooded back.
Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Miss Garib, or the maid, I'll have you know.
Man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, put my hand in my pocket for the wages I'd just earned that day, and I nearly died. It was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I know, the blade was whistling past my ear, stuck in a wall next to me it did. About an inch deep. Words. Just terror. I could smell it then, you know? That god-awful stench of the Thames. I'm sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. That's a real disaster, isn't it? Never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
No, I wasn't thinking that. You don't have to throw anything. You can just throw people. No, you throw people.
Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like.
What? Attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Alright. I'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later. I dare. Okay. So it's gotta be him. Gotta be those two.
Objection!
Also, hey, Chelsea, how's it going? Miss the old days when people just whip around and throw coffee cups. Yeah, you know. Happy marriages filled with no violence whatsoever, clearly. Imagine a marital dispute getting so out of hand that you end up stabbing somebody on the street because the knife you hurled at your partner flies out the window into their back. That's a... And you almost burn your house down. That's a little much. It's a little.
Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection. Good grief, you mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, Consul, at once.
Juror number 2. Do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative?
Oh, why? What do you mean?
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Miss Garib's room on the top floor of his house. Yeah, it's clearly not. It's fine. I'm sure the room's big enough that carbon monoxide isn't too big of a threat. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garib household to the street below. Okay, what's this now? After all, Miss Garib could have found any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole?
Beginning to think that, ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Hey, listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out the house, but what? What was it? Really taking the big gamble here. It's a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Garib household to the scene of the crime was an itchy leg. And also maybe a knife.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Miss Garib. What now? I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before?
Good Lord, Counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged in the victim's back, man.
I am aware. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garib were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrett was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book had sailed and landed at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that the book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Well, even my missus hasn't got a name like that. Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand, but that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end. Not right now. Oh, my. Miss Garrett, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? Oh, well. Nothing of value was lost. Ooh. My lord. I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman. I have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. Only the old guy and the passed out woman didn't change their votes. Passed out woman who may have a trial of her own soon. We did it! Congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo. So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided. And this trial will continue. Now then, Lord Van Seeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? I'm sure he'll be thrilled about this. This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Wine. The first few sips are bitter enough. But what follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Van Seeks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? That's your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman. The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond. Let me start by insisting. You must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. Do we? It still seems like that's doable, but whatever. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? Its angle is probably an actual angle. It would already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garrett household, it's a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garrett's house to the scene is some, yes, 15 yards. Let me see, 15 yards? Around 14 meters. 14 meters? Oh, that's a little further than I'd imagined. As you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having pretentious significance, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book wantonly hurled by the lady at the house traveled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road immediately between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. That your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? No! The book flew out, she picked it up, and while she was picking it up, the knife flew out and stabbed her. But you know what? Did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Okay. I will admit that it's not the most likely of things, except she was mad, she was throwing things at her husband, which were missing and hitting the window. I'd imagine they'd have roughly the same arc. If somebody saw that book, stopped to pick it up, their back turned towards that window, it is more than within the realm of possibility. Definitely enough that you can't just go, that's impossible. Sorry, just enough that you can't go, I'm racist and that's impossible. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. I don't think I can say that. The prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. Miss Susato, serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? Maybe let's pick our battles here. My lord, might I be allowed to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense. Yes, go ahead. Prosecution may consider the idea of fantasy. But what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leanings. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. You can't just say, lol, no to everything we say and just have it stick. At some point, somebody's going to go, no, that could possibly happen. And it's me! To that end, juror number 4, Miss Joan Garrett, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination. It's a lie. Cross-examination of a juror? Well, it's the court's fault for putting somebody who was so clearly, like, she wasn't clearly involved in the case before this, but you know. This guy is sure rude to someone who keeps losing trials. True. Also, hey, Grim, how's it going? Welcome to Back with in the chat. Rude and racist. Don't forget. It's unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand. Well, then you should not have jury members who are from the house overlooking the murder site whose opinions might be, you know, relevant to the case. Honestly, it's starting to sting a smidge, but I can make it a bit longer.
Objection!
I'm pretty sure I'm not making it to midnight, but I can make it a bit longer. I really want to see how this goes, whether we make it to the end or not, I don't know. I'm going to try. But I'm also not going to put myself in, like, throat peril. And unnecessary. Lord Van Seeks. I hope not. I don't feel ill. So we'll see. The jury selection is just random lottery. Yeah, so, like, you know. So the fact that this hasn't happened before is actually kind of shocking. Clearly should have. I mean, knock on wood. I didn't get sick during the main winter sickness season this year, and most of the summer's through and I haven't gotten sick, so, like, I'm hoping I can go a whole year just dodging germs, but, you know. I managed to come away from the con without con flu, so, like, fingers crossed that it keeps going that way, but who knows. I've considered myself very lucky this year, because people around me have been sick. And I've dodged every one so far, again, heavily knocking. There are already witnesses on the stand whose testimonies the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before the couple's eyes. And we must assume that they would be able to testify accordingly. What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir. Constable Roy Beat, reporting for duty, sir. Well, good morning, officer. Sorry for dozing until now. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Oh, you're so heroic, these London bobbies. Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more. Oh, Rolly, my hero, you make me swoon. Very well, hereby reject the defense's request. Oh. Order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. Forthwith, before the court, any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events. Yes, sir! He still doesn't look super awake, but... This has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garrett house are top-hinging casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I had to leave the scene and go to fetch help. My trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. She already said you were face down in the snow napping. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. You were napping. You were definitely napping. And I'm not saying it wasn't justified, but this is quite startling. Top hinged casement windows. That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. No, sir. Sorry, but... What exactly is a top-hinged casement window? You cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Of course, sorry. Found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's room. Alright, I'll try. The window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. As it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see. Glad you've rectified your ignorance. The casement window's most prominent feature is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. It prevents it opening? This is all news to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below. No. You see the problem, then? Good. Your education in windows is complete. There's never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. It is, unless the window pane had been shattered, something we've discounted already. Did you see that, Rolly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh, yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, Rolly, you're so strong. How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet. Already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination. Lord. Oh, God. Oh, good. Another desperate situation. Alright. This seems like it's going swimmingly.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain? Very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. That's what the job's all about. That is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word, while rubbing my tired eyes admittedly. Sir! Oh, Rolly, you're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat! Oh, Rolly! No, fine. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? Oh, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well... So could you answer the question? Good waste of time, huh? Absolutely, sir. I will answer it to the fullest of my ability, sir. That's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. Before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? I'm very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope to take back some tales of us London Bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get it through without shedding a few tears. Thank you. I'll try. Constable Beat's warrant card has been entered into the court record. Well, that's gotta be important then. Small folding wallet that identifies London Bobbies contains the rules of conduct to which they must adhere. Number 1. A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. This wasn't his beat. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Sounds like he does that. So it's policing regulations. Item 1. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. Yes, which is why he had his wife call it. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Okay. So far, I don't think anything contradicts this, but I guess we'll see. Yeah. So far, I don't see any use for it, but we will see. Clearly he's going to have one. What you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted as to how much they open. Therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. It's the location where objects would have fallen. Oh. I wonder if which side of the street determines which beat this was on. Because they definitely would have moved the body. If it was going to let them celebrate their anniversary and give him a break, they definitely would move the body for that. She would have nothing else. Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime on the other side of the rather wide road. Wouldn't it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinged casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. What would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house is furnished with? Ah, that would be how we find out that that side of the street is his. Well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday. Oh, okay, well we knew that too.
Excuse me.
That's actually info we would have known because of his book. Do you have something to add, Miss Beat? Sorry. You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Oh, I was just remembering. That's all. We really were so lucky. Ah, yeah, lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. We were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. It was so close to... Yep, okay. Oh, I hadn't realized. Oh yes, that street, Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rolly's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love? What happens if something goes wrong in the middle of the street? Constable Beat. Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Garib household yesterday. The house is on my beat, see, sir. Well, it was cutting it close, then. Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garib household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well? Outside Mr. Garib's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. Let's see. I was unaware of that. I just think if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal or celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all. Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners. You know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling? That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. Perhaps we should make sure we have that information officially on record. Leave it to me, Mr. Haruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately. Case files information has been updated in the court record. Okay. That's my turn, I think.
Hold it!
Unless I don't think this is where we're going, but, you know, gotta see them through. But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already. It's dark. But Rolly and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star. Sorry? Star that will guide us to eternal happiness. Can't it guide you to answer the question? If a flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star. If I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Rolly be an inspector, I would have said, 3 times at least. Of course, well, with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars. In short, you're trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you. Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir. Certainly seems like they're telling the truth. When we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
Hold it!
She said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer. Is that right? That's right, yes. If it had been on Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box and every beat. But Rolly told me the way. Only, I sort of got a little lost in the way. Lucia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Oh, Rolly. They've said it like 4 times now. And I've always said, oh my, but I finally get the names. And they've said it like 4 times now, and it took the 4th one for me to get the names. At Rolly Beat. Damn it. Please. So I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But like I said, my Rolly was at the scene the whole time, making sure that nothing was disturbed. They literally spell it out. It still took 4... I'm ahead of myself, not the game. I was off duty at the time, of course, but true Bobby is never really off duty, sir.
Hold it!
Nothing to report. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. Bull crap. You don't even have your eyes wide open now. No one else approached the scene. Nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the yard's honor, sir. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir? Seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garib household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Ah! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? Something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. 2 mysteries of how the knife ended up in her back and how the book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them. Can I ask you something, please, Mr. Lawyer, sir? Oh, yes, of course. What is it? You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell. What? I wasn't really, I mean, what's she doing? Please, because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am. I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you. No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you? Yes, Miss Speed, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. It's a very loud mutter. I heard that. That Japanese man thinks the policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't. Duly noted, Miss Beach. Please, I humbly ask you to continue. For reasons already? Jeez. I'll have to do it after the stream, but may as well see the reasons, you know. For curiosity's sake. Oh, the one you posted earlier? Yeah. Yeah. I saw that one, but you're right. What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? Know what it's all. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though. That's it. Okay.
Hold it!
Okay. Miss Beat, nobody's questioning what you've told us. I saw it, I did. That evening, I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and a funny curved back slinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well. Didn't see any flaming bookers or knives flying through the sky. All very clear. Okay. I didn't want to ban best viewers because, you know, it's awesome. I like being able to say the words best viewers. We have the best viewers here, but clearly that's the one that keeps getting through. Oh yeah, no worries. So I'm gonna go take care of that real quick. Under settings, stream, moderation, locked items and phrases, best words. That was exactly how they said it, right? Best viewers. I mean, the B was capitalized, but I don't know if that matters. Let's see, how did that get through? Didn't I ban the dot hop? Yeah, I did ban the dot hop, but I guess that's part of a URL. Just banning that doesn't change it. Alright, well, whatever. That should hopefully... Because we haven't seen any of the other ones since I banned the other phrases, so I'm thinking this is probably going to help. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction? Oh, yes, well, it's a little embarrassing, really. Yeah, I don't know if there is. There's a way to whitelist terms? Automatic rule sets, blocked terms and phrases, permitted terms and phrases. Ban evasion detecting, shared ban info, ban chatters. I can block hyperlinks, but like, other than the bots, I've had people who weren't mods that were like, hey, can I post a link real quick? And it's like, yeah, of course. And this automatically deletes them. I don't want that. Though, if it ever got really bad, I would do that. Same with I could always turn on email verification. But, yeah, I don't want to worry about verification settings right now. Even as it is, only like one a day was getting through, and now that we blocked that, I bet you it's going to go down even further. So I think we're okay. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. He gets ever so cross.
Excuse me!
Constable Beat, is there a problem? No, sir, no problem, sir. Your wife's remark just now brings something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. You mean Miss Beat lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. She'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone a good 15. Oh, Rolly, you're such a tease. But the reason I was so long is because of the bouquet, silly. The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet were you talking about? Oh, it's a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly's so romantic. He saved up for it with farthings and happenings he found in the gutter while doing his rounds. Yes, how romantic. I forgot all about it until just now. What do you, my darling?
Ah,
Oh, yes. That was just between us. No talking about to anyone else, darling. You have to promise. Really? Oh. What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange. Rena can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. Quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Miss Beat about the bouquet. Miss Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please. Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. I think I need to get a haircut soon. Hair's getting long, it's starting to curl a bit much. What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime? That's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back. I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice it first. And then you went to the police box to report to the policeman whose beat it was on. Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, the air sense of direction does suck, doesn't it? It was nowhere near the victim's body at all. Ah. So he used her lack of sense of direction because he didn't want to deal with that crime, which, you know, I get it. But also, dude, come on, man. You're under oath in a court of law. You seem need reminding, Miss Beat. The victim is not deceased. I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road. Their husband, presumably. That's right, silly me. I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. Although, I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think how it got there. I really can't. The bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite. Curious indeed. Isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose Rolly brought me, with that change from the gutter he spent so long collecting. By bouquet, you perhaps mean this sorry solitary rose? Oh, yes, that's it. Okay, Rolly bought me for our anniversary with old bits of change found in the gutter. Maybe just call it a rose? Tell us, Lord Menzies, where did you come by that flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garib household. In front of the Garib's house? Although it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It's believed to be of no relevance to the case since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Could I have it back now, please? No, I think for good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence. Oh. The anniversary bouquet has been entered. Present for Patricia. So, like, now I get this chain of events. I definitely am not 100% sure which piece of evidence to present on which piece of dialogue right yet. Like, I get what happened. Present Patricia Beat from her husband Rolly. The shock of seeing the stabbed victim caused Miss Beat to drop the rose where she stood. But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back. Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Miss Beat. Okay. Okay, so it's not the first three for sure. Did you leave the scene to fetch help? Trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. Damn it, I don't know which to present. Like, I get the concept. I get the chain of events. I do not get which of those to present to which state. The 3 statements that logically it could be, did leave the scene to go fetch help. My trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while. Didn't take my eyes off the crime scene for one moment. Must be that one. Gotta be that one in the bouquet. Not super confident about that.
Objection!
Not super. Let's just consider the implication of that. Say, no, that's not it. Nope. Cool. So I'm pretty sure the flower is the item. Nope, I didn't mean to hit that. Photo, make all this. Yes, the whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling me all along. I believe I'm starting to get a picture. Yeah, now I got the picture. 4th book that have no business being at the scene of the crime. Made me sure that Miss Garrett was hiding something from us. But it's becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us. Yeah, I know. I think I may already be armed with everything I need to strike a decisive blow here. Yes. This time, it's going to expose the whole truth about this mysterious affair. Yeah, cool. Flower there. That's the one. Okay. So I had the right item, I had the wrong text. You claim, Constable Beat, that there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. That cannot be. What? What do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Miss Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby. Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road, to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of the meager bouquet, a single sorry bloom can be so described. No doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Mika!
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact? No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on the Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belongs to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way round. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Miss Garib's book. Mr. Garib's book. Mr. Garib's copy of The Lion's Pride was thrown out the window by his wife. Would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street, the casement. And yet, it's actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet could have been dropped here at the scene of the crime, on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garib's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Withering on about books and bouquets. Why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is. Oh, good. Mrs. Garib's comrade. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garib, but deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo. But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it, for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tamper. I've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? Sorry, dude. Sorry. But, you know, you also did it. He's 32? I mean, I guess 32 was when he was bitten by the vampire, so he perpetually looks at it. That checks out.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat. It was you. What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard. Most popular Romahex that got shut down. Well, what I had heard was that it was functionally in read-only mode, so whatever was there could be accessed, but that was a few days ago, so that could have changed since then. But that is sad news, but it's also less surprising. The most popular site also means it's the most easily findable and in the public conscious, so if there's going to be a target, it'll be at that one. And with Nintendo and the whole emulator issue going on, things are now a little more happening than they were before. Still sucks. But yeah. What nonsense. Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Miss Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it. You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? Bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it. Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Miss Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Ah, well.
Objection!
First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with. There's only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime, to hide something. That's right, Well, my husband and I just happened to be there. That's all. So why would we have anything to hide? Doesn't make sense. You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering, and until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Pete had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair. Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery? Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. Yeah, you're right. You don't have to mention anything. We'll just make a save over here. You know, in case. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive of this alleged tampering. Yes, my lord. Constable Pete's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the victim fell. The victim fell to the ground. That's what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone actually didn't already know that. It's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all. What? What? I do love their animations. I mean, the whole game has been full of good animations, though. Beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Japanese friend. Where are you proposing the crime actually took place that evening? I mean, over here.
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road. I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garrett's book fell directly down from the open window above. And your bouquet, Miss Beat, never moved at all. What did move? What's the scene of the crime itself? They're just adding more spins to that. Good gracious! It's getting more powerful as time goes on.
Objection!
His conviction of the point is shown through a number of spins. Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. These witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. We saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid. It was actually on the west side of Briar Road. No, that's not true. It can't have been. Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. During the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print. The victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. The constable overlooked one thing. What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume. Exactly. Prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. But Benzik said it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rolly Beat. Oh, well, very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, Rolly. It isn't true, is it? What the lawyer said, it's all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. Man just needs a nap, and I feel that. I understand. I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out, everything exposed. Only, it seems, it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly! Order! What on earth is the meaning of all this? Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it? Man wanted to enjoy one night of rest with his wife on their anniversary. Now, it's still a criminal offense. He still shouldn't have done it. He still should have admitted it way earlier in this case. But, like, I get his motive. I understand the motive. Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Also, they're not dead. It's not a corpse. He did still tamper with the scene, though. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation for why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? He told us all. Are you an idiot? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. Dude, curb the racism. And yet, Lord Von Zeeks, it is the foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan. It makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. It gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable actions, which is the right piece of evidence. I think it could be that. That's the one that says basically the jurisdiction of whoever's beat it's found on. But that one says whose beat it was whose it was found on. I think it's this. That's also, this is more the reason he can't say it, because he's going against his card.
Take that!
It's gotta be that one, right? Or we'll hit it with a penalty, whatever. I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I have only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learnt that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? They told you! On account of this bouquet. Lord. Oh yes, it was our very first wedding anniversary. Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife. I was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. He and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. I don't even know who's talking here. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of him, what must have gone through that man's mind? It's gotta be. Never heard of. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Full beat. Is that, or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said. It's all right. So that's it. It's all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh. Exactly. Summarize. The incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you've done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Here, why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so old Pat shall have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you have to go to the police box that covers it, turn right along Mearsham Street, and then... Poor guy. He still did do a crime, but poor guy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted just that one night to take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Rolly. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined, and so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction, just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought, well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon. Oh, of course you did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement. I see your meaning now. God got me back in my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I brought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? Oh, 4 it was, yes, sir. Definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garrett household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? And all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. Oh, you found it? What do you mean? When I first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. Sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, the victim was holding. Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. 4th book's information has been updated. Still more. I feel like at this point it all checks out, but you know, we'll see through. Thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see? There was only the 2 people at the scene. Pat and me both saw it happen. However which way you look at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who done it. I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it. Lord. Yes, Lord Van Zeeks? I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir. What will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him? Now, you're free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. Because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. That's an understatement. All right then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir! Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Never again, sir. You mean to say? Leave now. This trial is not yet over. It is, though. Sir! It's over. It's definitely over. Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime. No, not now that we know where the body actually was. You're wrong.
Objection!
No, I disagree. See, he gets it. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, that it is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous. I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Seeks, is this true? No. Very well. Name the person if you will, and further investigation is warranted. Prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. It's basically admitting you already know it, but you just want us to say it. Yeah, we'll name the other person.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier, in order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Miss Joan Garrett. Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
You said you'd have no objection. You'd allow it to continue. That request has already been denied. But the situation is very different now. Miss Garrett, answer me this. What do you want now, you little coward? Perfect objection, too. At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrett. John and Joan Garrett. In the course of that argument, a minor house fire was ignited. Yeah. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. What of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. On striking the pane of the open top hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, and as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Miss Garrett. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? Yeah. If it's too many to remember, we have another issue here. Anyway, the man over there in that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4. Oh? Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. There's several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Miss Garrett. Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. I mean, except your husband. You could clearly bear that thought. You hear that? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now. Come. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I had evidence like that. Believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm going to have to testify. Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed, truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Dearie me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Miss Garrett. And Mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. That's what I'm hoping for, my lord. This is such a strange feeling. First time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey. I'm a lawyer. Well, a good ways into his third case? Well, his second case in London. Witness, state your name and... sorry, wrong voice. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garrett. And I'm, well, I'm a juror and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid, or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh, dearie me. Chin up, John. Nothing to worry about now. Don't remember what voice I gave him. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Do not recall at all the voice I gave him. Oh, he can actually look at the camera. His black eye, his slap print healed. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm the sort of chap to leave a I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Ooh, hey Robin, how's it going? Welcome to my Land of the Chat. I appreciate that the emote goes through regardless. Definitely appreciate that. Also, keep hoping the extra honey tea is going good. We actually figured this out a little ways ago, but you know, you gotta go through the motions. The answer was, I'm proud of myself for understanding and getting it as early as I think it could have been. Yeah, my voice is starting to hurt, but I really do want to see this trial through if I can. But it's not painful, it's just got that, like, I'm probably going to end when the trial ends, but, like, I'd like to see it through if possible. If we hit an overly obvious, like, if we hit another to be continued point, I'm going to end there. But, like, I think everything is there, we just need to convince the person themselves that's how it happened. Even Van Zeke seems to be like, yeah, I understand how this went down. I read that, right? Yeah. Oh, John. I presume you're Mr. John Garrett. Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant, 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Also, I am mad that it took me so long to figure out the pun of Mr. or Mrs. Bailey. I am mad that they literally said the words in order 4 times before I was like, oh damn it, that's the pun. So mad. So mad. Not mad at the pun, mad at myself. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life. Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Ah, well, yes, quite. Quiet life. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. Well, now we'll have precedent. However, this court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. It will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once. Alright. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Oh, I recall. You had a bookmark from a lady. Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon headed out, though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. That Bailey thing in the victim's back really was one of ours. You'll have a job proving it, I think. Sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. So, I mean, she already admits that she wasn't paying attention but was grabbing literally anything to throw, and that you had multiple versions of that knife to the point where you wouldn't even notice if one went missing. Like, yeah, even if we can't 100% prove that knife, like, there is more than a reasonable doubt that it happened. Alright, whatever. Whatever. Although, an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, veterans such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Excuse me. Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jack. Stupid hiccups, jackknife. The only way we can prove this knife is theirs is if we can prove that they owned a knife that already had the tip snapped off. Or maybe the tip snapped off when it hit the window? So somewhere underneath there will be just a rogue tip? Otherwise, I don't know how we're going to prove that this is theirs. We have to. I just don't know how. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. That's the part. I mean, truth means nothing. It's to prove. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Eric, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland chat. Hope you're having a good day. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they've testified already. This may be a dead end. Seeks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid so. Let's see, what was the exact one? Ah, the official type of leak, yes. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. Alright.
Hold it!
I definitely remember the reason, but I don't think that's important here. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garib. Rather passionate note, in fact. But Mr. Garib found the note discovering her husband's little secret, and she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I'd say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. Besides, half of it was wide in the mark, anyway. A likely story. Waters run very deep. But you're not having a good time with these buffers. Ugh, that sucks. Yeah, I can say that on my end it's fine. There's clearly but clearly somewhere between you and Twitch, there's a, you could always trace route. Not that it would help you any, but you could at least see where the problem is. I'm sure the Twitch IP address is fairly common knowledge. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'm sure Google does. It still wouldn't help you fix the problem, but you can at least see where along it is. You can get into it's not so bad. That's good. That's good at least, yeah. Sorry you're getting buffering. Like, I don't doubt it, but it is nothing that is affected. There's nothing I can affect, judging by what I'm seeing on OBS. So, I hope it gets better. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Yes, candlestick.
Hold it!
Don't think any new info's coming from that, but you know. The fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it? A bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine really. So happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. Yeah, so it's gotta be, it's probably nothing on your end either. It's gotta be something that's either Twitch exclusively or something near to Twitch on that internet route. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water's main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see. The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although, that little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. Pendant Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? Can't watch. Yeah, I mean, but that's still frustrating. Don't get me wrong, I understand that. I believe he uses all his income to buy books. Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Yep, cool. Doesn't help us any.
Hold it!
This might lead us to something, but I don't know. Even though the room was on fire. As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. It's most certainly not true of Susato to take down Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the things that you threw at your husband that day? All honesty, I don't recall, but I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, a napkin. Yes,
Excuse
sir?
me.
Do you have something to add, sir? Nice twirl. Mr. Garrett.
Don't shoot! Sorry, beg your pardon.
Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Well, but something, then. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall. Ouch. The woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every volley. Yeah! Good grief, woman. We're not at home now. This is the court of law. Does have a bit of that vibe, definitely. Not a bad vibe to have. I loves me some Dark Cloud 2. I will never platinum Dark Cloud 2, but I love it.
Shut up!
She is just so straight up abusive to him. Like, yeah, we don't see the whole picture. Maybe he is cheating on her, and you know, maybe that does merit some amount of retaliatoriness, but just leave him then. That's not proper in British society. Keep calm, carry on, and punish your husband. Oh, dearie me, ever so sorry, dear. Like, yeah, she, even if we ignore all of the tales of what she's been throwing at him and the slap mark, even if we ignore that, she has straight up intentionally burned this man multiple times in front of our face. What's she been doing with a teapot in here? Oh, St. John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened, Your pipe, sir. Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. To clean out with one of her soft projectiles she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. So it's only proper that upper-class citizens have a maid around the house. They want to be seen as upper class, but they don't have the money to hire a maid. So his wife acts as the maid so they can be seen as upper class. Which is very British. Very British. See, your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. Huh. You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? We have physical proof! I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important. Hence, please, Mr. Garib's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
Its war veteran's words only tell us one thing. The prey of fiery woman and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Dearie me, there you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. He just said, sure, you can look at the pipe. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to beat you more when we get home. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. The pipe has been entered into the court record. Mr. Garrett's pipe apparently fell on the floor during a domestic dispute he had with wife and broke. Oh, I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. Please tell me this bit of... Yup. Alright, cool. We're good. Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something's stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. Tip of a blade? Surely, it couldn't be. A small piece of metal looks like it might be the tip of a knife blade. It was stuck inside the bowl. Mr. Garrett's pipe. Cool. I think we're good. Thank you. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Susato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garib. Now if we could return to the crux of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim?
Hold it!
Sorry? Would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a spot of carving, you see. Nips and whatnot, fishing tackle, you know, the sort of thing. It's a passion we both share. I like to carve little wooden trinkets, too. And then there's my leather work. Sorry to say, we're always losing knives about the place. We have dozens of the things. And sell them at the market sometimes. 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snap them up. John prefers to use 2 knives at mealtime, too, instead of a knife and a fork. What? That's insane. Just to fully comprehend that. He ratted him out by saying that he, like some sort of barbarian, does not use a fork, but instead uses 2 knives. He goes, why would you say that? People might think ill of me. She punishes him by burning his hands. But she's the one that said it. We're just gonna go with, is a bit off her rocker. Here we go again with the scaldings. Why are they being so evasive? Imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim. Which is entirely understandable, of course, but still. Go on with your testimony, witnesses. There. No, I don't think. I think the entire judicial system is off its rocker.
Hold it!
So, you have no intention of admitting it was your knife, unless we can produce proof. Even though there's no other credible possibility of Mr. Natsume, no other credible possibility if Mr. Natsume is innocent.
Objection!
Forget, my Japanese friend, that it is yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the attack. If I could forget, only there was some way to know who had handled the knife. I suppose wizardry like that is just a dream. Perhaps you're thinking of fingerprinting, Mr. Naruhodo. What? You mean it's not a dream? That sort of wizardry really exists? Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from their skin. That's what I say. But I can't see anything. There are already countries in the world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Yes, I believe we are rapidly approaching an era of scientific methods of investigation. But for now, we shall have to find an alternative method of proving our assertion that this knife found in the victim's back was originally in Mr. and Mrs. Garib's house. Only I could transplant this whole incident to several years in the future. It's the extent of their testimony, is it? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. Can't say I'm particularly confident we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony. But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential to establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. I know. I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was in fact a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury. If we could find even a tiny shred of evidence, a tiny tip of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. Yes, just the tip. It would. So, for Suseki-san's sake, we must find that last crucial tip of evidence. Just gonna assume it's... That, I hit too many times. It's so easy to do that. Because it's always on the last one. Okay. It's gotta be the tip. Mr. Garib, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a Bailey thing. You can't? He used to call me Dead-Eyed Deb back in the regiment, of course, but that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fires these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dearie me, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must D very dusty. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. Where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garib's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how it got there. What precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? His lips vibrate for just long enough. I am. What? Put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record. Jigglefizz sees perfectly. I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. Oh, the poor guy! I didn't notice the back view. Holy crap! It's burnt a hole through his entire backside. His underwear is clearly visible by just scalding heat. I mean, that could have been from the fire too, theoretically. But it's probably the tea. Holy crap, dude. Oh my goodness. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. He absolutely needs help. Very well then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. Common issue with inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in the victim's bones. Now what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim. No, that's not the case. tip of this particular knife's blade. It's the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. I mean, good grief, Lord Van Zeeks. I mean, maybe she makes good tea. It's clearly hot. Forever. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. Miracle? So Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Miss Garrett flung this knife at her husband. Not her crit other games. It seems like it, but it also seems like the court segment is one thing. It's not, here, we've done the court, go away for a bit, do some more research, come back. It's, you have found everything you can, here's the court. And I actually kind of prefer it this way. I prefer the longer bits. I mean, both can work, for sure, but I kind of like this. I kind of like this way of doing it. Which is not to say they might change it in the ones so far, but like the later ones. Yeah, correct. We also haven't had them cover multiple days. Scared flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off. Good lord! Yes, that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1! And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. Yeah. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garrett's house, it's the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh. No! Poor guy. When? How? Why? I'm not even going to question it. He pulls him out his ass. Hammer space. A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. Complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry, but after all, it's just a theory. A game theory. The bottle I fear is corked. Because you see... it's the boot again! The wind-up for that is so powerful. It's spoiled by an insurmountable inconsistency. Oh, he's up to like 4 or 5 by now. Well, Van Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? Inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... Wow! That's right, you silly little man! Wow! Now, Joan, whole thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let's consider the basic facts of the case once more. The boot is so powerful. The thing longer. I mean, He's halfway there already. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above. There goes another. There's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Well, look at him still holding the pose, too. Order! Order! Wait, you see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above. Holy crap, Joan! I didn't even realize that's the motion she was making when she was angry on the stand. She was making the I slap my husband across the face animation. Jeez! It would have struck her on top of the head. That was her go-to I'm not happy motion, is slap her husband across the face. Well, it's lost for words. Look! I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place. No, though, it really did happen. It appears the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. The theory has even one inconsistency it cannot stand. Oh, bull crap! Your theories have been so inconsistent so often, you little turd! Your theory, my learned friend, is history. Oh, I'm sure people have counted, yes. I have no doubt. It's so close. I can see that. I think we're up to 4 or 5 now. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely. It's just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand. Mr. Sato. Mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. Just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. The path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. You just have to bend over and pick it up. The key to this is the court record. I'm sure if you bend over and pick it up, all the information you need is there. It means you have nothing to say, my Japanese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. Really bend over and pick it up. It's a test! Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel, there's a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife fell from above, could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness. Utter madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece of the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back, it's gotta be that picture, right? It could be that one too, because the description specifically says it was... I would bet that either of these probably works. The smart way to do it is that either of these works. I'm going to go with the picture because it was my first gut instinct, but I would bet the book would work too.
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. Yeah, the book would work too. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. Book. Is that not Mr. Gerb's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. As we all now know, it's the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. But so, as part of his wholesale transplant of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road, but he already admitted that it was how he found it. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, counsel Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement to that point. You know what? There you go. Now it's got the crease too. Perfect. In other words, the victim had already picked up the book up of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. But what are you talking about, Sora? That's the sound of flashing back to a scene. That's how everybody sounds in a flashback. It always has. In every game ever, right? That's the sound of a flashback. I'm not hallucinating here. That's just how flashbacks sound. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? Right. But Jingo. Think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh, dearie me. I know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garib household in the pavement below. I don't know how I'm ever going to handle it if he ever has a flashback. Because I still try to hit the same ballpark of the voice. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to do that. We will cross that bridge if it shows up. Precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. You can't skill issue me before something happens. You can't. It hasn't happened yet. You can't skill issue a thing that hasn't occurred. Yes, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in the light fog. And all of a sudden, the book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Miss Garib. What do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book. Oh, heavens. When the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up... It's true, though! What position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. At that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Well, I never! It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above. From the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garib? The very first time he showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. Yeah, no kidding. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. There, old bean. Poor Mrs. Garib. No, poor Mr. Garib. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I mean, I'm sure you never meant to hurt anyone other than your husband. But the fact that it was like an inch that saved this from being you on trial for like stabbing your husband through the face, you were gonna end up here eventually. It's a shame another party involved in this whatsoever had to be hurt. Well, you were gonna hurt someone eventually, more than a slap, or scalding burns all over their backside. Take full responsibility, finally. Let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. I threw the knife as well. John, dear. It's alright, I know. I'm ever so sorry. You really should have apologized earlier. And a lot, truly. And maybe, I'm sorry. Your apology might hold more weight if you stopped slapping your husband across the face whenever you were just unhappy at anything. Like, poor guy. Look, I ain't saying he's perfect. We don't know. At all. But all we have seen is him constantly get physically abused by her. In a myriad of ways. To the point where it overflew their own house and ended up hurting someone else. She may not be the worst of the criminals on this planet, but like, correct, we don't know. We know there was a letter in a book. That letter could have been meant for Mr. Natsume, it could have been meant for him. We don't know. We don't know further beyond what we've seen. But infidelity is not grounds for murderous intent, in my mind. If he was cheating, he should absolutely dump him to the curb, make it public, drag him through the mud. Metaphorically. 100%. Absolutely. But throwing knives at a person is absolutely attempted murder. Sorry. If you are throwing a knife with anger intent to the point where it misses their face by the length of a pipe, that's murderous intent. Hard stop. She intended to murder, if not maim, her husband. And, like, cheating bad. Cheating sure bad. But, like, other ways to go about things. Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garrett? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There's no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily. The doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. That's some good news. Strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Soseki Natsume. The most nervous-looking man in the history of Phoenix Wright. Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture. You have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it's me who should be begging your pardon. Oh, no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again, in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? Sure, that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too. Suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So, when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. Should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police! Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship, trust between our two empires. And for that, I am truly sorry. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit had been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We hope be fooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions, but thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. Heartily commend you both. He's silent, but in the back of his mind he's like, yes, praise me more, my lord. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. Concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion this time.
You declare the truth is extremely cruel, Tom.
Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know, but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time.
I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I?
Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. They all hit guilty anyway. He's like, no, that can't be. You're watching the wrong trial, Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Huzzah! They accidentally all hit it at the same time. The fireballs bounce off each other. The entire Old Bailey starts catching on fire as the fireballs bounce all over. Very well, Mr. Soseki Natsumi. I hereby pronounce you not guilty. Yay! Oh, yay! You have to have confetti. Though I think the fireworks indoors is a bit much of a fire hazard. You know, whatever. I am glad they're glad that he's not guilty. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord Sir. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh yes, sir. Of course, sir. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm this morning to tears. Man. Thank you. Counsels, court is adjourned. Ah. 20th February, 3:17 p.m. The Old Bailey. Defendants, antechamber. Oh, Logum. Wait, you mean me? Of course! If there's another Locum here. Is there even one? Compared to the original Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last! I'm free! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Happy, hearty, happiness, hurrah! Oh, I'm pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard to just say that, then? Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink. Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault, after all. I'm just glad everybody can see that now. No, not that! Lovely, loyal, Locum lawyer! Yes? I mean, as I said before, I've just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I looked over my shoulders, I see foreigners, I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down at me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you local lawyer gave me gloom the boot. You stood firm beneath that behind that baronial bench over all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold, the best barrister ever born!" Well, it's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? That's what's become of all my hard work. Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. Oh, I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. I'm sorry for being so late. I was sleepy. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I am here not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. I mean, whether you showed up or not, it would have been averted. Oh. The trial should begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. Oh. It's just finished. What? No! Then my haste was in vain! I could have slept longer! Ugh, it's you! Sherlock Sholmes! Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. You are so beneath me and unimportant to my entire purview of the world that I wouldn't even remember your face, man. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings of that or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Sherlock Sholmes! You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I've placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been taken to hospital more urgently? I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Just want to go home. Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I'm sorry, really, but... That was quite priceless. Poor Soseki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. There's no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits, and now by the Reaper. Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. I've forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will all be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, we'll protect you. Hey, damn it, we're not the Reaper! With a perfectly executed Susato takedown. Just like it being turned on my head. A bit of a warning might be nice next time. Excuse me, Miss Susato? No, if you ever get a warning, you won't. It's fine. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Hey, Pots, how's it going? Welcome to Viper Land in the chat. We finished another case. We did it. It was all a series of unfortunate events. And domestic abuse. A series of unfortunate events stemming from domestic abuse. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. It's already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops, have been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. I'm probably, my throat hurts a bit, so I'm probably ending after this case, which we're on the very trail end of now. So, yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, no, it's that. And I've come to realize that it's my calling to sail home to tell my fellow countrymen about it. It's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all! It's like half. The more I learn of literature, the more the strange feelings claw at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. I see. A work of literature by Soseki-san. Could be an interesting read. The Reaper's Curse, yeah. Mr. Boot on the Desk is known as the Reaper of the Bailey. And the thing is, even when he loses a case, the people who have gone free and been pronounced not guilty have a shockingly high likelihood of dying within a very short amount of time. So this is also part of the Reaper's Curse, and the Reaper's Curse does appear to be that he just kills people when he loses cases. Whether that's true or not, but everybody seems to know about it. It does not seem to be a secret. It's a well-known enough thing that this man, who's only been here a year from Japan, knows about it. And what about Miss Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustache compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. Guys, like the dial. Yeah. And only now does it feel as though we have finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you can take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? Ah, but what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with a floor, a ceiling, and walls. Great. Dude, you have 10 days before you bankrupt. Take the windowless room. Of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit. Oh yes, it tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. It's carbon monoxide. In a windowless room. Well, we'll think about it, if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. It is up in the attic on my time. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? That would definitely help you sleep the long sleep. Yeah. I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. And it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsumi. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsumi. I shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Oh, I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm really delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsumi. It's been a privilege meeting you two. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. But I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But welcome, we'll meet again one day. Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Wait, I forget about it. Oh, yeah. Yep. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. With little doubt Mr. Natsumi will be released in time for dinner this evening. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. The attic. My throat stings a bit. We're going to end it right here. This is just them going to be seeing the room, I guess, and that's fine. This is a very logical stopping point. We finished the case. Throat stings. I'm going to get some more to drink. I'm going to be good. But yeah. We're saving here. We finished the case. I'm very curious to see how this plays out, because this is going to be a definite powerful home to stay in. But that can happen next week. Tomorrow and Tuesday, we're definitely doing Control. I don't know past then. Maybe Thursday if we're not done. I'll mess around with another game, but I feel like by Thursday we'll be approaching done. So I'll probably want to wrap it up. We'll see Monday, Tuesday definitely. I can't imagine wrapping it in 2 days. So we'll see. We've made good progress, but there's still more progress to be made. So now we've got ourselves a monster, a quote, It is cool. I probably have more Weta pets by now. Almost certainly. That was approaching a year ago. I almost certainly have more Weta pets by now. And of course we've got a... Objection! There you go. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. This has been Viper of Viperland. I'll see you all next time.